in the trunk.
What is going on, everybody? Tony 2.0 here, and today I want to talk about the end of the world. Not the proverbial nuclear fallout, blow up, everything North Korea garbage that's going on in the news right now. Not World War III or aliens coming in. I want to talk about my theory on what's actually going to cause the end of humanity, or at least make such a huge dent in humanity that things are going to be changed forever, and most, if not all, of the population will be wiped out. If you think about the most deadly occurrences, the most deadly events in history, what comes to mind? What in your mind would you think is the most deadly? Maybe some of the battles of ancient China and ancient Japan. Huge numbers of deaths. The transition to the Ming Dynasty, like 36 million deaths. It's a huge amount of people. World War I, World War II, huge amount of deaths. Not only because of guns and fighting, but disease that spread after the effects. Talk about natural disasters, huge earthquakes, tsunamis, things like that. Those do not touch what I believe is going to be the end of mankind. I think it's going to be something on a microscopic level. I believe that the end of the world, at some point, probably not my lifetime or my daughter's lifetime, but at some point, viruses, disease will spread and wipe out the human population. It's already begun to start. It's already begin to show signs of this is what's coming down the pipe. And unfortunately for us, science and medicine is not keeping up with what's happening in the microorganism world. I will tell you, the most deadly event ever to occur on planet Earth was not any war, was not any fight, any battle. The most deadly thing to ever hit the world, as far as our world is concerned, the average everyday world, the bubonic plague killed 250 million Europeans. That was a third of the entire population of the world at the time. That was caused by fleas, ticks, a bacteria, an organism that they just could not figure out what was going on. Some people would say, oh, there's no way that this could ever happen again. There is no way with modern medicine that things like this could happen. Bullshit, and it's already starting to happen. You guys, I'm sure, have heard about MRSA. MRSA, right? Basically, what MRSA is and what staph infections are these drug-resistant super bugs. I mean, these viruses that no matter what you throw at them, it does not matter. They live through it and they continue to attack. MRSA is one of the worst. I was reading these stories about how in the last probably 20 years, there's only been maybe a handful of new antibiotics that have been put out onto the market. If you want to think about the possible implications of these superbugs not being able to be treated, it is a global epidemic. You can talk about things like HIV and AIDS. Let's talk about things like the Spanish flu or even just influenza. The flu kills 36,000 people a year. AIDS has killed 25 million people and counting since 1981. Malaria, 2.7 million deaths per year. 2,800 children each year die from it. Talk about Ebola. 160,000 deaths since 2000. Cholera, 12,000 deaths since 1991. Smallpox. Think about how the conquistadors, when they came to the States, smallpox, that epidemic. Native Americans suffered a population drop of 12 million all the way down to 235,000. Polio, 10,000 deaths since 1916. I look at polio as one of those things where everybody thinks it's cured, right? Not so much. It's actually coming back, and it's been coming back in Europe. There's no cure for polio. They developed a resistance to the vaccination for it so that you don't develop it. But if you get it, there's no cure. We think about every time we get a cold, we get the flu. What happens? Well, you go to your doctor writes you a prescription for an antibiotic, you feel better. Here is the facts. Things like the flu. The flu is a virus. Antibiotics do not treat viruses. Throwing our antibiotic medications at every single little thing doesn't kill the virus, doesn't stop it. What it does is it allows it to mutate and become resistant to everything that we are throwing at it. The most common antibiotic, what can you guys think of? Penicillin, right? The psyllin family. This was made popular, back in the 40s when it was invented? Maybe even before then? Penicillin has something like a 40% resistance rate, meaning 40% of all of the infections, the things that we use to treat it with, are no longer affected by penicillin. That's huge. Penicillin was this miracle drug. It was the drug of the century. We talk about wars and nuclear warfare. Trust me, you guys don't have to worry about that. A lot of it's just posturing by these countries. Let's take North Korea, for example. North Korea wants us to give them money. And because we're not, they're threatening us with nuclear missiles. It's all about money. You don't have to worry about that. If they nuke us, they'll never get money, then they'll be poor, and it doesn't matter anyways. That, and we'll probably wipe them off the map. Wipe them off the map. It really wouldn't matter. Mutations to these bacteria, these viruses, is jumping over the last about 40 years. About 60% of all staph infections are currently resistant to penicillin. Staph is the most common infection that you get when you go in to have a routine operation, right? You get these staph infections. Someone has open sore, cut, something like that in the OR, you get it. The utensils weren't sanitized completely, or the strain of staph does not get killed by the heat that they use to actually sterilize the instruments. It's possible. All of these superbugs, these things that are starting to crop up. In Europe, there's a strain of gonorrhea that is no longer curable. You get it, you're fucked. You just got it all the time. That's crazy, right? AIDS, a virus that has been around forever. We can't treat it unless you're Magic Johnson, I guess. All of the things that we do on a daily basis are antibacterial soaps, the sanitizer solutions that are in every single hospital, you know, that they wash their hands and they use sanitizer too. All that stuff that you use to get rid of bacteria, the Lysols, all that shit that's 99.9% kills all the germs. That's actually making this epidemic worse. I am not saying that we should just allow for viruses to grow and go out of control and not clean things. And that's not what I'm saying at all, because we should. But we should be selective in how we are treating them. We are going to come to a point in which the medications that we currently have will not be able to cure even things like the common cold. Think about how deadly that can be to the elderly and the young if we can't treat even a common cold or the flu, or we can't keep germs from spreading. Think about things like the bird flu and swine flu and H1N1, all that stuff, right? Well, if we can no longer those kill lots of people, but at some point they get contained. The virus mutates and people start to fight it off. That's kind of the Darwin's theory of it. Only the strong survive, right? Well, what happens when those bugs become stronger than our medications and our technology? Well, then we're in trouble. And I think that's what's going to lead to the end of the world. It will be another plague, another epidemic that will wipe out a significant, and when I say significant, I'm meaning 70 to 90% of the entire population. Once it starts in a small area, it's not going to stop. It will find a way to get around the entire globe and wipe out huge amounts of populations. No government, no anything, no amount of money that you have will protect you from this. I want to know what you guys think. This is my theory on the end of the world, and I think that this is how it's inevitably probably going to end up. And I think at some point in our lives, we're actually going to live through one of these events. Maybe not a total extinction or a mass epidemic, but things like staph and things like MRSA that we just can't treat, that take out a huge portion of a very modern society. The UK, Asia, somewhere in the States, maybe Canada. Maybe it starts in one of those countries that's well underdeveloped, and then it gets transmitted to those more populated, more modern areas. Again, tell me what you guys think down in the description. This is what I believe will actually take us out and cause future generations. I'm not worried about like asteroids hitting us, wars, whatever. All that stuff's gonna go on, but normally the cooler heads prevail when wars happen, and 1 in a trillion shot that we get hit by a like an asteroid in the next, or at least in my lifetime. Leave it down in the comments section. Click that like button if you like this topic. I'd love to do more videos like this, honestly. If you're new around here, click that subscribe button for me. Everybody share it with your friends. And I will check you guys the next time. Be safe. Wash your hands, bitches. Peace.